Hi guys, it's Britt from Kiss and Makeup. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is our very first tutorial, so I'm super excited. Please excuse my hair and my background. I know it's really super cute, but it's the only way I can keep it on my face when I'm doing my makeup. So, and then the background, it's like a blanket over a rolling rack, but you know, you got to work with what you have. So, Kelly and I have been getting a lot of requests lately as far as doing retro inspired. That's kind of both of our styles anyway. It's something I wear on a daily basis, but we've definitely been hearing a lot about it. It's huge here in Portland, so that is what I'm going to do today. I'm actually going to recreate the look. I did a post earlier today about my look from yesterday that I wore, and I'm actually going to do a walkthrough. I know a lot of people do better watching a video and watching actually how I apply it as opposed to reading stuff, so that's what I'm going to do for you today. I'm super excited, so let's get started. Okay, so I've gone ahead and moisturized my skin already. I have used the Clinique Dramatically Different Moisturizing Gel. I really prefer this in the summer to the lotion because it's a little bit more lightweight. My skin definitely gets a little more breakout prone, as you can see. A little bit more oily, a little bit more shiny. So I like to use that because it's super lightweight. It's not going to clog my pores, but it's also really great for sensitive skin. As you can see, I'm really fair, so I have a little bit more sensitivities or allergies to product. So I really prefer that over anything else in the summer. And then secondly, for prepping my skin, I've used, this is the small version, the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. It gives a really nice velvety smooth finish, fills in any pores, kind of evens everything out. To make my foundation application really nice and smooth. So that's what I've already gone ahead and done. So I just go ahead and take my foundation. I'm just going to put it on the back of my hand, or however you prefer. Here, I'm going to just load up my brush, and I'm literally just going to take it and I'm going to start buffing it into my skin. And just keep doing that until you see the coverage that you want. I really like to just blend it in down here, take it up, kind of. But using this kabuki brush is going to give it a really nice kind of a dewy, you can go ahead and kind of pat it in there too, dewy but like airbrushed finish. So it's going to look really flawless. It's going to put the makeup on the surface of the skin, so it's going to gives it like a nice reflection. It's not going to just kind of cake down into your pores. So you can really kind of see some nice reflection, some nice luminosity. And then just keep buffing that kind of until you see, whatever it is that you want to see, whatever it is that you want the finish in your skin to be. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is just conceal the little couple blemishes I have on my face. Like I was saying earlier, I definitely get a little more blemish prone in the summer, especially in this region. So I'm going to use MAC Studio Finish Concealer, and it is in NC15. I always get this question because I have a warm skin tone and people are like, why do you use cool? Why do you use cool? And if you know anything about color theory, you always want to balance everything out. So the cool is a yellow based, and so I like to use that to kind of cancel out some of the red. Yes, green technically cancels out red, but using something that's cooler, it's a little more neutral. It's going to neutralize that red that's in those blemishes or maybe under my eyes. I'm not going to actually go and conceal under my eyes right now, just the blemishes. Oh, I'm sorry. I am using a 165 by MAC, just the concealer brush. I'm just going to kind of pop it on there. It's really hard to do in reverse. Just kind of blend it. I also sometimes like to use a MAC, I think it's 224. Everyone says I say MAC brush is weird because they say 224 or whatever, and I say 224. I don't know if that's weird, but I don't know. I used to work for MAC, and everyone would make fun of me when I did that. So I just like to take those, kind of press that in, and just kind of gently buff that out. Don't want to see how it's lighter around that. You definitely don't want to see that because that's going to almost give a highlighting effect, and you're going to see like, oh hey, I have a zit. Okay. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and powder over where I have put concealer, foundation. I'm not going to do it everywhere because I don't want a completely matte finish. So I'm just going to take my sponge. This is Hello Flawless by Benefit, and it is in Never Settle Petal. I actually love the names of them. I think they're super cute. So I'm just going to kind of take the sponge. This is actually just the sponge that came with it. You can use a beauty blender or anything like that. If you want a little bit more coverage, that's why I like to use a sponge. You can use a brush too. It's not going to give you as much coverage. So I'm just going to kind of go in where I have a little bit of shine. Anywhere I want to set something. Especially in here, right? In here is where I tend to get really oily. I think a lot of people do. At least I've found working in skin and as a makeup artist, as a hairstylist, whatever. You'll always get people coming in and saying, you know, how do I get rid of this? How do I do that? Okay, so I think we're nice and powdered. So there's definitely two really big things to achieving a retro look that I think. One of them obviously is the cat liner, which we will do, but I think a really nice contoured and with a blush is just shouts retro to me, or a red lip, yeah, I know. But as far as I think from a makeup artist standpoint, it's definitely something that you want to see as that really contoured, strong cheek. So I'm going to take Harmony, let me open that up for you. Harmony by MAC. It's actually a blush, but it's great for a bronzer if you want something that's flat, doesn't have any sparkle to it. So I'm going to take my MAC, I think this is 109, no, excuse me, 116. It's just a blush brush. It's not the contoured or the angle one, it's just simply just the blush brush. It's almost tapered. Well, it might be a little bit contoured. So I'm going to take it, load it up, and I also just kind of dust it off on my hand. Gets any excess off so it's not going to kind of fall. But I'm just going to find, there's a lot of ways to find where your cheekbone is, but I already know where mine is, obviously. But if you kind of take your brush, kind of roll it, you'll feel that bone right there, and you kind of see where that sets in. I'm just going to kind of lock my brush in there and kind of just start doing it. And you are going to see a harsh line at first. I mean, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. I like to take it up all the way up here onto my temples because I don't have any cheekbones. I know I do, but I have a really round face. So I like to take that up there, and it kind of creates this illusion where it thins it out. So kind of just buff that in there. Keep loading up your brush until you get kind of the shape of your face that you want. Okay, so now we've got the contour done. I'm going to go ahead and actually do a blush. This is, let me open it so you guys can see the color. Pinch Me by MAC. And it's kind of it's like a flat, kind of rosy, a little bit darker than like a dusty rose. But I like it because it's really nice on a lot of people's skin tones. So I'm just going to take it and kind of just sweep it across that cheek. I don't want too much because I do want my eyes to be kind of the focus of this look. But I do want to have a little bit of color on my cheeks, just kind of pop. Kind of just dust that across. Oh, a little much. Sometimes if you get too much coverage like this, you can just take that foundation brush you had earlier. That's why I love kabuki brushes, and just kind of buff over it until you get a nice blended kind of softer look. As you can see, I still have kind of a nice dewy finish. You can see that foundation still coming through. So it's still got the luminosity that you want, which is so big right now. More of a modern look because you don't want to be so cakey and so heavy. And then have that really winged eye and then a red lip and just everything is super strong. You want to find a nice balance, and that's the key to makeup is, you know, a little bit goes a long way. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is my eyebrows. As you can see, I'm a natural blonde. I have red hair right now. Kind of a mess, can't really see. But I have pretty light eyebrows. I like a really strong brow. So I am going to use, this is actually a Smashbox palette, but the closest color is Walnut by Smashbox. It's kind of a medium to darker brown. I'm going to use a 266 by MAC. It's just the small angle brush. And I'm just going to go ahead, comb them up. I've already done that with like a mascara wand. You can get disposable ones at Sally or Cosmoprof, whatever. If you're licensed, obviously you can go and get those. Sally Beauty Supply, you don't have to have a license. I'm sure you can get them at Target or Walmart or Walgreens or wherever. But it's just a disposable mascara wand. Looks like a mascara wand. There's nothing on it. Just take it and comb it up. Get all the kind of the hairs in place, or you can use a brow brush or wand or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and I need a mirror for this guy. Kind of start building, you always want to start where you're the most sparse. So you never want to start where it's like a really heavy area with a lot of hair, because then all that shadow or whatever it is that you're using is going to cling to that, and then the areas that actually need it aren't going to have as much, and it's really easy to make your eyebrows too heavy really quickly. So you want to start, I'm really sparse right here, and then I'm really sparse kind of throughout, but my hair does not grow in right here, which is really great. So just kind of fill in right there and just go with that natural shape. I don't have a very high arch, so I do like to make it a little bit more of an arch. Just kind of keep filling. I like a really squared off brow too. Not when I wax them, obviously, because you want to have a little bit of an angle, but I like them as pretty squared, strong as you can get. Kind of the ideal brow, I think. It's just a really pretty, really strong. I always say, this is such a horrible joke, but I always tell people this when I'm waxing their eyebrows or doing their makeup or whatever, that if your eyes are the windows to your soul, your brows are the shutters. I don't know, I just think it's cute. But so keep filling that in until you kind of get the shape that you want. So as far as starting out eye makeup, I'm going to start with MAC Vanilla Pigment. So it's just a white pigment. It's really reflective. So I'm going to take, let's see, I'm going to use a 217. It's actually a blender, but I like to just take it on there and kind of dust it on, pat it on, because I'm not trying to like really put a lot of pigment on there. I just want to kind of create a base. So I'm just taking that on the lid. And it creates a really nice, soft, kind of base, and it's going to make everything else kind of pop a little more because it's against that white. Okay. Okay, so next I'm going to use Vapor by Urban Decay. It's a really light silver, and I'm actually going to take that same brush as the vanilla, but I'm also going to get a small shadow brush. This is 242 by MAC, and I'm going to load that up as well. I never use just one brush. So I'm going to take that, you want to go ahead and dust it off, flick it however you want to do it, and press that into the lid, because it does fall really easily, but you can see that's starting to pick up really, really fast. It builds pretty easily, but it does get dusty, and that's why I didn't go ahead and conceal under my eyes, because when that pigment falls, everything kind of sticks to it. So if you don't have anything underneath those eyes, you can just kind of, and it's gone, and it makes it a lot easier, and you're not wasting any product, and it's easier to clean up. I'm going to take it, kind of press it. I like a blender because it's so soft, and if you just kind of keep using that soft blender to start with, you don't get a harsh line. So, I mean, you don't have to go back and do a lot of work because it's already done for you. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye. Okay, so I've gotten both those eyes done. So now I'm going to take my Urban Decay The Naked Palette, which I love. The Naked 2 is really cool too. I'm going to take Naked, which is actually one of the colors in the palette. It's like a really light, it is this color right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Nope, sorry, that one. So it's a really kind of just soft taupe. So I'm going to take that 242, which is just that shadow brush, and I'm going to put it right here. You can use a pencil brush too. Right in there really softly. Go in there with my 217. Just kind of blend it, soften it. I don't want any harsh line, but you're really defining that socket because you want to see that kind of contour. Just keep kind of, never just back and forth, more of a, you can do back and forth, then kind of a windshield, not a windshield wiper, but you want to go in and kind of, can you guys see all that sparkle fall from that silver? Just keep kind of blending that in there until you get a really soft line. Okay, so you guys can see that contour in there just a little bit. So I'm going to get a little bit of a darker contour color. So I'm going to take Buck, which is 2 over from Naked in the Naked palette. And just kind of same thing, put it right in there. You can see it's darker, so it's going to give you a little bit more contrast. And then just kind of gently buff that through. Make sure you always want to get down. Never bring it down. You always want to keep, I know everyone tells you this, but whatever. You always want to keep that line right here. Never bring that past. If there was an invisible line drawn from your nose to your brow and your brow, you never want to bring it past because it creates the illusion of kind of a drooping eye. You always want to lift that eye up. So keep that nice and soft. Okay, last thing I'm going to do is one more color from the Naked palette. This is Smog, and this is more of a really kind of shimmery dark brown. So I really want a teeny tiny little bit, and just right in that outer corner, just kind of press that right in there, and that's going to give that kind of smoky lift. It's going to make that just right in the outside, just going to make it look nice. Makes those eyes look nice and big, which I don't really have a problem with. Sometimes I think my eyes are too big. And then just kind of buff that through. And if you just kind of softly press that into there and not actually do that line, it's not going to be as difficult to kind of blend it out because you're only putting it in the corner. It creates kind of a weird little like stopping point, so you definitely don't want that. And just keep blending and blending until you feel like it's soft enough and it's kind of where you want it to be. And everyone obviously has a different opinion and a different kind of style as to how they want it. Some people like that really harsh line. Sometimes they do like a really cut crease, but for this look I want to keep it softer because I am doing a really harsh but a really strong liner. So I want everything else to kind of be diffused, and I want that to be the focus. Okay, so I think that's all blended out. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's nice and soft. So next thing I want to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and clean up everything from underneath my eyes, and then I'm going to line. So what I'm going to do is get, I love this brush, just to kind of dust it off. And you can use a fan brush, whatever you want to use, just to kind of get that excess off. And I'm going to go ahead and get my MAC 224. It's that fluffy, kind of dome-shaped. Load up that concealer from earlier. I don't want to use the concealer brush because I think it's too heavy and it just sticks too much. Especially this foundation because it is a little bit stickier. It's heavier. So I'm just going to kind of buff this gently under my eye. And you can, it's so soft, even if you kind of, poke yourself in the eye, it's not going to hurt. So you can get really close to that lash line. And just clean anything up that might have fallen. Cancel any redness, anything like that. Same thing goes for what I was talking about earlier with this Cool. I tend to get a little bit red because I wear contacts and I sleep in them like constantly. I tend to get a little bit red, puffy, and this really just cancels out any of that red, makes it nice and light. Okay, so for lining the eyes, I use the Penultimate eyeliner pen by MAC. This is it right here. It literally just looks like a black felt tip pen. So why I like this is because it's really easy. It's almost just like drawing on your face. It's super easy to get a nice clean line. It's super easy to go back and clean up. Everybody knows how to write with a pen. I think something that people struggle with doing a cat eye is using that gel liner and using that brush because it's not as stable. You're not used to holding that. Or if you're not used to holding it, it can be difficult at first. That's usually what I use is Black Track Fluid Line by MAC and an angle brush, or the Bobbi Brown black liner, the gel liner. But like I said, I felt like doing something a little bit heavier, a little bit easier, so that is what I used. So actually I already gone ahead and started. If you guys can see, it's really hard to do without a mirror, but you want to take it And I like to kind of start about pupil out, draw one little thin line, and then kind of drag it back towards. You guys can kind of see. You're going to just get that shape. It doesn't have to be perfect because, like I said, you're going to go back and clean it up. So then what I'm going to do is turn that pen out, and I want to find kind of the angle that I want to do my cat eye at. So I'm going to actually do it. A lot of people make the mistake and do this. Yes, you can do that, but I like to do it this way just to start with. And then kind of drag it out. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to go in there with a Q-tip and a little bit of remover and just knock it out. It's super easy to keep it, and you keep your angle clean that way. So don't feel like you have to be perfect. And it comes with practice. Just going to connect that line out. So as you guys can see, I kind of have that little wing going. It's not at the angle I want it at all. So I'm going to take a Q-tip and some eye makeup remover, kind of just pull it, do it this way, do it that way, straight out, and I'll show you guys, and that'll give you the angle that you want. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and clean up that liner on the outside. So I'm just taking a Q-tip and a little bit of eye makeup remover, and I'm going to start at the end and just kind of work it that way, flip it around, and let it just drag my Q-tip out. By dragging it out like that, you're going to get that, and you can kind of go as far out as you want it. Then if you don't want it, just go back like this, and it's gone. I like it kind of heavier and then thinned out where it comes to like a really kind of subtle point. You guys can see that. And then you kind of just go in and clean that line however you want it. And then just keep going. And if you have to do it over again and, you know, go back, whatever. It's not the end of the world, and you're not going to mess your eye makeup up because it's just out here. I'm going to go ahead and do that other eye. Okay, so we've done the wing on this side. So now what I'm going to do is go in and fill the rest of this in. So what I'm going to do is take the pen, kind of turn it on its side a little bit. Put it right there. You guys can see that. And just kind of short little strokes, short little drag. You don't want to be too thick right here. Just kind of connect and slowly get a little bit thicker as you get to that middle point. That's where you want your thickest part of your liner, or it can go up a little bit higher. But you don't want to keep it the same all the way through because then it just looks messy. Okay, you guys can see that. Like I said, you can always go back and clean everything up. It's really easy with a Q-tip with this because it's like a pen. It's like literally ink. You can literally just kind of go and it will just come off with a Q-tip and a little bit of makeup remover, or even just kind of if it's still wet and you're using a Q-tip to get rid of it. It's really, really easy and really, really clean and precise. So you don't have to go in and just be, you know, totally perfect and have a super steady hand. It's a little bit easier. Okay, so last thing for the liner is I'm going to take my angle brush, which is a 266 by MAC, and MAC Carbon, which is just a completely flat black. Everybody needs it. It's just a really strong, really pigmented black. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to go over all of that liner. Just softly press it. Don't really drag it if you don't have a very steady hand, because you're going to mess that line up if you kind of go in and draw a line. So you're basically just kind of following the line you created, just tracing over it. And you can go in and clean up that wing again, but I like to do this because it's kind of like powdering your foundation. It's setting that liner so it's not going to run, and it also just makes it a little bit stronger. You guys can see it really kind of darkens it up, richens it, excuse me, makes it a little bit bolder. And you can see that wing a little stronger. Okay, so clean up, just taking that same concealer brush, keeping that nice and clean. Might be any little black residue or anything from cleaning up the liner to start with. And then I'm going to take my vanilla pigment again. I'm going to get a clean 217, which is that same blender. Put the vanilla on there and really softly just kind of right along that brow bone, just to make it pop and create kind of a highlight effect. You can see that. And it's going to open those eyes up and kind of highlight your brow as well. Makes everything just kind of pop, having that white against it. Take a little bit underneath too. Just whatever is left over. There's not really any product on it. Okay, so finally what I'm going to do is take that same 266 from earlier, has a little bit of carbon left on it, but I'm not going to load up the brush again. And I'm just going to go in against my lower lash line and press it here. I'll show you guys. Just press, press, press. And you can see it's a really soft line. Same thing on the other eye. You don't want to leave that bottom of my face as like tilted off the screen. You don't want to leave that bottom completely naked because it just looks weird. It really kind of accentuates. Okay, so for like yesterday, I know I posted that I used the MAC Extended Play. For some reason, I can't find it anywhere. I'm actually going to use the Mega Plush Volume Express by Maybelline. That's the only like drugstore brand I'll use. I'm kind of a makeup snob. If you guys read our blog, you totally know that. But I actually really like this mascara. The wand is really cool. I'm going to show you. It's really flexible. Really soft bristles. So I actually really like the brush on this. So I'm just going to go ahead, put maybe 1 or 2 coats, kind of put that wand at the base, and just kind of wiggle it out. Just really coating those lashes. I didn't wear lashes in this look because this mascara is awesome. I didn't really think it was necessary. But you obviously can totally wear lashes with this look. Okay, so to complete the look, I'm just going to go ahead and do the lips. I did a pink as opposed to a red. I know normally in a vintage or retro look, you're going to see a red. And obviously a red would go really, really good with this makeup. I think the eye is pretty neutral. You can kind of do whatever you want on the lip, but I just felt like doing a pink. So to start with, I used Embrace Me by MAC, which is like a hot pink. It's actually a limited edition color, but I'm pretty sure you can still get it on their website. I was looking at it earlier and I saw it on there still. So go ahead and sharpen your pencil. You don't want it to be too sharpened to like a point, but you want it to be sharp enough where you can, you know, draw that line in. Now we start right here at the bottom. You want to use that pinky to kind of brace your hand. You don't ever want to, you know, draw like this because it's going to be too hard of a line. So using that pinky and just kind of anchoring that pinky there anchors that hand. You can softly kind of draw that in. And then from the top, you want to work outside in. Pull down. Outside in. Pull down. Then you can kind of go in and accentuate that Cupid's bow. I have heard about this pencil. Heard a lot of complaints. I read a lot of complaints on different forums and stuff that it bleeds and it's not as smooth as a lot of other MAC pencils, which I actually kind of agree on, but I just love the color so much. I agree, I guess, is the bleeding. It does have a tendency to bleed a little bit, but I think the color is amazing. It's not super smooth, but you could definitely wear like a gloss over it just by itself. So I've got that drawn on. So I'm going to take my 209 and I'm just going to go in and kind of softly diffuse that line. So then I'm going to take Girl About Town by MAC, which is like a hot pink as well. I love it. It's one of my favorites. Ooh, you guys can see it. It's this right here. I'm going to take that 209 and just kind of roll my brush onto the lipstick. Kind of load it up nice and evenly. And then just kind of softly push that on. But using that same brush, just kind of, it's already nice and diffused. But I like this brush as opposed to a lip brush because it's pointed and you can get right up against that lip line really sharply, and it diffuses really nicely. Don't get me wrong, the lip brush is really awesome too though. Okay, so I've got the Girl About Town on there. I'm going to keep blending that. I'm also taking my 165, the concealer brush, putting a little bit of concealer and kind of just right here on the corners, cleaning that up, but it also is a little bit lighter, so it's going to highlight. It's going to make those lips stand out. So last thing is I went ahead and used the Clinique Chubby Stick. It's like a balm. It's this guy right here. And it's really super shiny and super soft. I like just put that on. I'm not a big lip gloss person. I don't like a really sticky lip or like something really soft. And with this, if the wind is blowing or anything, my hair's not going to stick to my mouth, and I hate that so much. But it just adds a really nice moisture, kind of balmy finish. It still gives that shine. Okay guys, so that's my look. I hope you guys liked it. I had so much fun filming this. I'm really super excited for us to keep doing these videos. You will definitely see more coming from Kelly and myself. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Bye. Have a great day.